Hello and welcome to an amazing podcast. This is D and Modi, and we are talking about God of High School Episode 7. And, okay, this might be my favorite episode that was both incredibly satisfying and insanely frustrating. So,
Okay.
I will also say this probably has the worst magic system I've seen in anime. This literally this, in my opinion, makes Ruby's magic system look like Nin from Hunter x Hunter. And I'll get into that when I do.
Okay. All right. I think we're going to agree on a lot of stuff for this episode. I pretty much agree with your analysis. I don't know about satisfying. Honestly, it wasn't that satisfying at all to me. It was pretty much just like frustrating, and there were some good parts. There were some parts of the episode that I liked, but overall, I feel like now with this episode, I'm starting to like have doubts about the series.
Yes. So, jumping right into it. The reason I thought it was so satisfying was they finally acknowledged that it is odd that 40 middle-aged men are participating in the God of High School tournament. Secondly, I am so happy that they literally did what I mentioned in the last podcast and had it so that he is very bad at schoolwork and got held back a lot. I was so happy, so satisfied. I was literally about to, like, as soon as I heard that, I literally erased every single flaw I had with the show up to that point from my memory.
That's so funny. That's so funny because, like, when I saw that part, I was like, that, like, especially when you said you're never too old to learn, I was like, this is a line you would have, like, as a troll line. Like, you're never but yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, like, at that point the show went from a show that had 9 out of 10 action and 5 out of 10 writing to a perfect 10 out of 10 show for me. And I will also give it credit that did two things. It effectively made you care and empathize with the opponents. And, as always, good martial arts. And two things. I thought, like, Jin's, like, new martial arts techniques were conceptually really interesting. The idea of just, like, getting power-ups from, like, controlling, like, your pressure points and manipulating, like, where different muscles are and all that kind of stuff sounded really cool and opened up
It's pretty much like the opposite of, like, the reverse Neji, you know?
Yes.
Like, Neji shuts down your chakra points or whatever, and his does the opposite. Although, I guess he's also able to shut them down because that's what he did to himself.
Yeah, like, I thought that was such a really cool idea, and I thought that opens up so many very interesting, like, possibilities. Is he, like, going to mess around with his, like, pressure points to go, like, 800 gates? Is he going to, like, start, like, shutting people down and all that stuff? That was really cool. And I even really like the whole comedic angle of him screwing himself over and getting his ass kicked. Because we see so many actively stupid shonen characters. It's so refreshing when you see one, like, literally get the shit kicked out and lose because of him being a dumbass shonen character.
I totally agree with that. And also, I'm hoping that I saw something on Twitter today from someone who reads the webtoon. It wasn't completely clear from the tweet, but it seems that possibly with him learning this, like, the whole Taekwondo angle is gonna go out, and, like, he's just gonna be using something else from now on for the rest of the series. I'm not 100% sure about that, but if that is the case, that does kind of suck because, like, Taekwondo was cool, and we only got like, I don't know, 6 episodes of it.
Right. Hey, that was the martial arts that I learned, so I always have a soft spot for Taekwondo users.
Oh, really? I didn't even know you did martial arts.
Yeah. Got the brown belt before I had to give it up for school. But
oh, wow.
Back to what we were talking about, that was also a really good moment because not only does it like give a good comedic angle, it also plants seeds for like future developments, which I really like. And I also love the whole like working man style of like of martial arts, which was super cool.
The rice bag throw.
Yes, like the first half of this series was like everything I wanted this show to be at 100% maximum level. Problem though is, after that set of stuff is where everything goes straight downhill. So, we realized that assuming both the combatants in this first round of the tournament all have Choryuk. Now, let's just dissect that a little bit. We got a dude who can't pass, who was unable to achieve anything higher than a middle school education, cannot perform basic algebra, but he has the aptitude to learn a martial arts style that literally lets him create physical matter from nothing and basically overturn every single law of physics imaginable.
Wait, I think that's perfectly reasonable, honestly, like unironically, because like you see that all the time, like especially in anime, characters who are super dumb, but they're super strong in other ways. I don't know. To me, that's like, I didn't even blink at that. That makes complete sense to me.
Then what about the whole part about like this one girl who constantly loses at kendo also has the ability to spawn magical buster swords out of nowhere? I feel like that. I feel like there's a certain mid-range between like Cloud Strife and me the first day of Kendo Club that she's kind of skipping past. And also, let's talk about his like muscle dude's motivation. He wants to join a martial arts tournament to create a program where people can help people like achieve their educations and stuff. Like, I feel like there are a lot other like methods for going about that dream than the whole martial arts tournament. The other thing, oh, go ahead.
Okay. I mean, I was just gonna say for that, I don't put too much I don't care too much about that because at the end of the day, they're just like minor characters. So I feel like it's just like you just need like some sort of backstory and some sort of motivation to give the fight a little bit of meat, you know. But yeah, go ahead.
The other thing that really bugs me about Choryuk, or I apologize because I know that I'm completely butchering that pronunciation, but it doesn't make any sense. So, back to what I was saying. A low-ranked kendo student and a dude with a middle school education can all of a sudden use and utilize this, but you have like Day and Mira who have strong martial arts backgrounds, who the latter comes back from a school of like generations of swordsmen, and she can't use that kind of stuff, but like Kendo Scrub can. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is,
not only that, but she only just learned about it, of its existence.
Mm-hmm. The other thing is like, it's not clear like, how do people get these abilities? Do they learn it from a master? Are they born with it? Is it like mutant abilities? Did they learn like how to use that prior to this tournament? What are the stipulations for using it? Is it like an energy cost? Do they have to like eat a fruit? How long do they learn all of this stuff? It's so many questions that they don't answer, and it's so annoying. And now, with that said, let's get into the fight between the judges and the Nox. characters.
Okay, wait. Before that, I wanna jump in a little bit on the Charyuk thing. Yeah, I agree. I think everything. I think the worst parts of this episode, including what you talked about with Mira's fight, everything comes down to Charyuk just not being explained enough. Mm-hmm. And I could let it pass earlier on, like in the first 5 or so episodes or whatever, when they were using it, because I saw that as just, this is a teaser. Like, this is like to show you, oh, this is what's in store. And when it comes down to it becoming an actual part, a real part of the main plot and something that the main characters have to contend with, I was expecting that it would be, I was expecting that the power system would be explained, but it's not explained, and now it's starting to become a problem for me because, like you said, all this stuff, how do they learn it? Like, where does it come from? What are the extents of the abilities? Like, it just seems like it to me, it just seems like pretty much like magic that you can just do whatever you want with. It doesn't even seem like the people, like, characters have very specific abilities that are specific to them. Like, especially, we're gonna talk about like the fight with the commissioner and whatnot. But like, it seemed like they had like, each of them had like 3 different abilities at least that they could do. You know,
that's what drove me. Like, so first of all, amazing fight all around, and as always, really strong and really appealing character designs. But that goes back to what you were saying, because they were like, this is literally a magic system built around ass pulls. Because if it was like you said, like Stan's from JoJo's, or even Nin, where it's like, yes, every character has a unique ability that they utilize in combat. But with this, they were just summoning abilities that just seemed completely random. So, like, for starters, so we gotta look at, I think his name was like Hugh or N. We saw him summoning a little jester stand, we saw him using a scythe, which was solid. That made sense. We built that up before. But then all of a sudden he's summoning playing cards that also shoot spikes. So is it like a pocket dimension? Whatever. And then it just kicks to like maximum overdrive when the other 2 Nox members enter, where you have like Birdman like flying around despite getting his wings cut off, and then like summoning magic ghost swords, and that other like Ponytail Girl, which was the literal apex of all of this, because she literally
did everything.
Yeah, she had like 3 separate abilities that made no absolute goddamn sense in terms of like their relationship to each other. So like 1 minute she's summoning like hand shadows, the other she's like has a crucifix that she's using as a melee weapon. The other one, she's like summoning teddy bears. Then she has like a weird BDSM stand. And then all of a sudden she's summoning like Pride from Full Metal Alchemist. And it drives me crazy because some of those...
Can I just say real quick? It's funny, with all these like abilities, I'm seeing a lot of like, I don't know if they're deliberate references or maybe they're not even references at all, but I'm seeing like similarities with other series in the past. Like, her hand ability is pretty much Luffy and Robin from One Piece.
Yes.
Put together into one. Like, if they had a kid, that would be their would be their ability. And then the commissioner with his cards, it's, at the end of the day, it's very different from Hisoka, but it still reminded me a little bit of Hisoka.
Right.
That's just a little thing.
My biggest issue with her is, I will say, each of those abilities are interesting. And if she only had one of them and they built upon that, it would have been cool. But none of them meshed. Like, for example, in like the hand thing, like if they just colored the hands black, it could have easily meshed with the shadow monster. And the other thing is, like, she has weird hands. She has like multi-eyed shadow monsters, and she has like teddy bear, crucifix, laser beams. How does any of that relate to that weird, like, Gimp Angel thing she had in the background?
honestly, I don't even really care about the powers. Like, I don't even care if a character has a bunch of different powers that don't seemingly relate to each other. I just want to know how it all works, and like what are the rules and like the stipulations and stuff. If you look at something like in Naruto, there's plenty of characters who can do a whole bunch of different shit, you know, like Jiraiya, he can summon toads, he can like expand his hair, he can do a whole bunch of stuff. All the characters can do a whole bunch of stuff, but you understand how it works at the end of the day. Like, you understand how they're able to do that stuff. With this, it's just kind of
they're just throwing stuff out.
Yeah, exactly. I think. Sorry, it seems like you're going to say something. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think overall, the issue with this episode is, I feel like it's pacing. I feel like this episode could have been like 3 episodes. Completely. You could have spent a much longer time on the fights in the tournament. You could have fleshed out the backstories even more. You could have given like explanations about the characters' powers, right? And then on the other side, for the fight that happened in the tower with the commissioners, like, I would expect that to be a whole thing. That itself could be a couple episodes. Like, you would have the character like explain, this is my power. You would have like, you know how there's the whole situation with the guy who got his arms cut off, and he's like, I'm allowed to do whatever I want. I can come in and do the assignment too. Like, I would expect there to be some kind of like backstory on him or something. Like, I feel like all of this is moving too fast, and I'm starting to wonder truly if what's happening with God of High School might be like Tokyo Ghoul syndrome, where like, I'm not sure, I haven't read the webtoon, but if I go back and read the webtoon, I would not be surprised if like the anime is like, you know, condensing a whole lot of stuff, because this feels like it could and should be much longer, this episode. Like, it really could be at least 3 episodes, all the stuff that happened here.
And the problem is, like, I honestly feel like I personally really like the pacing of the episode, but they seriously needed an episode just to explain what the heck Cherryuke is. Is it like chakra, where you're just like manipulating and manifesting it in like different shapes? What are the stipulations? Like, all that kind of stuff. What it is, where it comes from, and you could easily do that. One episode would have been ample. You wouldn't even need an episode
to be. Yeah. To be honest, like, depending on the type of power system it is, you might even only need like 5 minutes. Like, if it's something like chakra, you don't need much time to explain that. Yeah. You know, like, I feel like there really should be some, like, up to this point, it was fine. But like, now that it's really becoming like front and center in the series, there has to be some explanation. Like, there needs to be.
And the annoying thing is, the other annoying thing about it is, the main characters are the only characters that don't have that right now. Like, and the annoying thing is, like, it feels so peripherally. It feels so peripheral right now, and B, you lose like that intrigue of like, oh man, how is Jin's power going to work against this guy's power, or like, how's Mira going to use her ability to like go up against this?
Yes. The fights don't have as much tension. Like, although, also, let me say, animation in this as usual was great, especially the commissioner fights. Animation for that was awesome. That was beautiful. But yeah, the fights don't have tension because you don't have any much expectations going in. The only expectation you have is that like Jin is strong, and that's it, right? You don't really know much else. Like, it really, you lose a lot of like drama when you don't build that stuff up more. I feel like so much stuff needed to be built up a lot more. And it also, like, I'm wondering like where, because it really feels like the series is rushing to get somewhere, and I don't know where it's rushing to. I mean, isn't this just like even if the tournament is only a small part of the grand scale of the series, I would still expect it to be like, it's, you know, the name of the series is named after the tournament, so I would still expect it to be like treated with a lot of like time and like build up and tension going into the tournament. But I don't really feel that much tension in this tournament,
right?
So far.
I think my last issue with the Magic system in this is it doesn't, like, it goes again back into like the poor definition of it, because with you have like, it has a similar issue with Ruby where it's like they have superpowers and then they have magic, whereas in God of High School they have crazy martial arts moves and they also have magic. But what's the difference? What's the difference between like Day's crazy like tortoise martial arts style versus all the Cherry stuff? And in fact, why do people learn that when basic martial art, well, I'm going to say advanced martial arts, just has equal value and equal destructive capabilities?
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm starting to wonder if I was watching like a superhero movie or something, I wouldn't really question it. But why do I question it here? Like, I don't really know why. Like, it's rubbing me the wrong way here. You know, because I feel like there's probably other stuff that does this, and I don't care or pay attention.
I can tell you exactly why it is. Because it all comes down to world building. If you're watching a superhero show and you just see like a wizard and then a mecha knight and like a guy who's part chimpanzee, you accept it because it's superheroes. Of course, there's going to be a bunch of weird people with superpowers. But this isn't a magic show. It's a martial arts show. And you went in, and they also built the world around kung fu and martial arts. They didn't build the magical aspect of it. So you're coming in with, you're not in a superhero show. You're in a martial arts show, in a martial arts world, in a world very similar to our own, where people are just like spawning stands and using ki and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Cause like I was about to compare it to JoJo, but in JoJo, even before they showed, like at the very beginning, they explain what stands are and like where it comes from, like straight off the bat. So
they explained it in one sentence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. And I have no doubt that Cherryuk is going to be explained at some point. And in fact, I'm pretty sure the reason it probably hasn't been explained so far is just because the main characters haven't learned it yet. And they're probably waiting until the main characters learn it to explain it to the audience, how it works. And I'm sure there's plot reasons for why the main characters will not know, like still haven't learned Cherryuk. But at the end of the day, I don't think it works, because if you're going to have it so like front and center, it just feels kind of confusing if we don't like at least know the basics of how it works.
You know what the worst thing about it is? Like, Jin and Mira were explaining what Cherryuk was off screen.
That's true. Yeah. It's weird.
Like, right now, I'm definitely, like, I am really enjoying God of High School, but I will say that the magic system is rubbing me the wrong way, but not in a way that would make me want to drop it. And I would also put this into the pantheon of shows that have really great action and really rough writing, right next to Sword Art Online and Ruby. In fact, you know what the sad part is? I would say Cherryuk is doing a worse job God of High School is doing a worse job at establishing its power system than Ruby. Because at least with Ruby, they established that each character has one power, and where it came from and how it was used. Well, not really where it came from, but established it established the rules, even if it established it poorly. We have not had any rules established yet.
Yeah, I kind of just realized that, like, if this would be much less confusing, we might not even be talking about this if each character had only shown one power.
Yep.
You know, like, if each character had only shown one thing they can do, I wouldn't even, I would just, and if they shown that and then they hadn't explained Cheryuk, I would just assume Cheryuk is pretty much like a stand or something, or like it's the type. I would just assume it's a type of power system where everyone has their own specific, unique thing they can do with whatever magical energy power that they have. But the fact that there are characters that can do multiple things, that's really what just completely throws me off. And then that compounded with the fact that you have now the main characters fighting people in the tournament who are using it, and it's just like kind of not a big deal, you know. Thor's hammer was kind of cool though.
You know what the really weird thing is? The audience has like no reaction to any of this stuff.
That's true. I wonder what the audience would think.
Like, no, because like they're treat like the way this is set up is it's a perfectly normal aspect of this world, and the problem is we aren't shown that. We're essentially told that, because imagine it, like, a dude got mauled by a freaking shark on dry land, and the audience was just speechless. Like, I would have to imagine that if this happened, like, logically happened in this kind of world, people would be on full tilt, freaking out, trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
Can the audience see? I don't know if this is something that, like, can they see it? Like, can they see the Cheryuk stand? I keep calling them stands. But
it hasn't been established.
Yeah. I guess I'll assume they can see it, because then it would just make no sense at all. Mm-hmm. But then if they can see it, why are, like, the actual fighters, the main characters, only just now learning about it? It's weird.
Exactly. Like, yeah, if I, like I said, it's a really great show, really good action, really great characters, but the writing has so much to be desired. And like I said, I'm a little worried because I feel as this is on a downward slope. And I can't tell, I'm not sure, I haven't read the webcomic, but, and I can't make a, like, certain critique of the writing in the webcomic, but with this right now, it feels very touch and go.
I might have to check out the webtoon just to see if the pacing is the same, because I'm starting to have a feeling that it might not be. But
like, I will say this: unlike Sword Art Online and RWBY, I think unlike Sword Art Online, the characters are interesting and likable enough to keep you watching, and unlike RWBY, the writing isn't good writing, but it takes you out of the experience a lot less than it would in something like RWBY.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that, I guess that's my final thoughts. Also, he had that. This is just one last thing. We saw that the commissioner was able to summon a freaking kaiju. So why didn't he just, like, level that entire floor instead of dealing with the whole martial arts stuff?
Action, I guess. Like, I mean, I can see from a writer standpoint, I could just see, like, you kind of want to play it out a little, like, make it interesting. I don't mind that too much. Plus, also in general, in fights, I don't know about in real life, but in anime fights, like, they usually do that build up, like, to their big powers, and usually the reason is, like, they want to test each other out. Like, you know, you don't want to use up more power than you need to, you know, to actually win.
Yeah.
But I only talked about the negative, but I also just wanted to mention the stuff that I liked about the episode. One is, I like the fact that Mori is the one who lost, because out of the three, because, like, it would have been, I was really expecting when, like, they explained that it was like 2 out of 3, like the first 2 to win. I was like, oh, of course they're gonna make Mira lose, but I'm glad they didn't, because it would just been super boring if that was it. In fact, it would have kind of been boring if it was Dei too, but like super boring if it was Mira. And also, new favorite character is the commissioner. That guy is awesome. I love that guy. Like, he is the best. Like, he has so much. He's just so cool, calm, collected, and he just doesn't care. Like, he'll have a sword in his chest, and no big deal at all. Like, he will make light work of you easily. Like, that dude is the best. I don't even know his name, but he's my favorite character.
Honestly, like, all of the characters are really cool and really fun. Like, Ponytail Girl, true. Wing Guy, all of them are really fun.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the characters are very good. Especially also, we already kind of talked about him, but Quang, like the 38-year-old construction guy, he's awesome. Like, his backstory was so, it was heartwarming, and I honestly wanted him to win. Like, I really wanted him to beat Dei, because like, it's funny how like the way it was written, we're more sympathetic towards him than Dei, because I can't really get behind Dei's reason for fighting still.
He has no reason
at this point.
Like, his
he was just like, I just want to get stronger. I mean, it's cool that you want to get stronger. That's okay, I guess. But like, compared to this guy who like failed high school multiple times, and he's going back, and he's just like trying his best, and he's, despite all odds, making it this far. Like, his story is way more sympathetic than yours. Like, your friend died, and I guess that's sad. But like, why are you really fighting? And last thing,
Dei's only reason for fighting is because shonen.
Yeah. Yeah. I have hope though that there's his character is gonna get a lot more development later on, because there has to be, right? Like, this is a long series, at least the webtoon is, so you spend a lot of time with the character. There's gonna have to be some development there somewhere. So I have hope. And then, last thing I really liked about the episode was the very end, the fight between, like, the heir of Samsung versus that crazy evil guy. That was nice. Like, I like how they made him, like, a really, like, a little, like, a stuck up kind of guy. Like, he's literally started off, his power was, like, doing do, re, mi, fa, sol. And then he just got murked by the shark. He just got ripped up. I was like, yo, this is nice. I love that evil dude. I don't know his name either, but like, I can't wait for next episode when they fight him, because
totally,
he's a lot of fun already,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's everything I had to say about the episode. Action was, as usual, good. Animation was good. But the pacing and power system really. The power system needs to be fleshed out more, I think. Or it might become a really big issue for me.
Yes, like, for me, I think I actually really enjoyed the pacing of it. It kept everything interesting, and I love really fast paced, energetic stuff. But like I said, it needed one episode just to explain the power system. With that said, as usual, I will give the fighting a 9 out of 10. The writing my first instinct is a 5. Mostly because power system, a few dialogue flubs, but what saves it is the overall backstory of the opposing team.
Yeah, that was a really good backstory right there.
Yep. All right.
Overall, I would give it like a 6. Fighting, I'm not even gonna bother like rating fighting, because it's usually consistently very good. I would also give it like a 9, but overall, I'll give the episode like a 6.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't have anything else to say. That's pretty much all. So, yeah. Thank you for watching, and come back next week for our review of episode 8. Bye.
Bye.